And this morning when I woke up, the wind was howling, and it reminded me of growing up in southern Alberta, a place that is constantly scoured by the wind. It seems like anytime warm air comes inland off the Pacific Ocean, it runs up over the Rocky Mountains between BC and Alberta, dumps its moisture there in BC, and then it comes racing down across the plains, creating trees like this. Trees that are shaped, that are molded, and that are formed by the wind, whether they like it or not. Now for me, this has always been an image of the work of God in our lives. Now, some of the words for spirit in both Hebrew and Greek are actually the same words for breath or for wind. In Hebrew, the word ruach is the word that is used when the Spirit of God hovered over the waters in creation. His ruach hovered over the water. Or when God breathed the breath of life into Adam after forming him out of dirt, he literally ruached into him. Or in Greek, the word pneuma means both wind and spirit. So when Jesus is talking to Nicodemus in John chapter 3 about being born again, Jesus says flesh gives birth to flesh, but the spirit, or pneuma, gives birth to spirit, pneuma. You should not be surprised at my saying you must be born again. The wind, the pneuma, blows wherever it pleases. You can't hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit, or of the pneuma. The Spirit blows where it will, Jesus says, pushing and shaping and molding and forming us, whether we like it or not. Now let's face it, there's plenty of times when we would rather not be pushed or shaped or molded or formed. There's days or weeks or months or even years when we become pretty comfortable just being. Times when our spiritual lives become maybe a little stagnant and perhaps a little rigid, solidified into a certain unbending structure that makes it hard to be shaped. Now there is real danger in that, however, because a tree that refuses to bend under the force of the wind eventually breaks. So we need to be ready to bend with the Spirit. But how do we know if the Spirit's trying to shape us or if maybe the culture is? Well, first of all, if what we are being encouraged to do is something that's clearly against what God has shown us is a good way to live, then it's not the Spirit. But sometimes it's not always so clear. Sometimes we wrestle with situations that are a bit more ambiguous, and it seems as though good arguments can be made from multiple different angles about what's right or wrong, or about what's good or bad. Well, in those cases, I think a good second test would be to use the fruit of the Spirit as a guide to maybe answer this, and then maybe ask this question. Would doing this make me more loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle, and self-controlled? Or maybe, can I be a more loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle, and self-controlled person while pursuing this course of action? I think in reality we all see the value of living a life like that, and we certainly want other people around us to live like that, even if we don't put in the commitment to make our lives that way ourselves. But I don't think we often take the time to really discern our actions. And we tend to instead get shaped by other kinds of forces in our worlds, forces that may actually be working counter to the way the Spirit wants us to be shaped. These trees give witness to the power of the wind in their lives, and when our lives are shaped by the Spirit, we too can be a witness of its power.